Hey guys, it's Hayden here making another video. Today I'm going to be talking about psych meds and sort of my experience with them and my sort of opinion and perspective on how long you should stay on them, if you should stay on them, and questions like that. So since I make some videos about psychosis and mental health and stuff like that, it's not surprising to me that people are asking me about how long they should stay on their medication and just general other questions about medication. I'm going to share sort of my story with medication to give you a little bit of perspective on why I think the way I do about it. And yeah. So a lot of people that come to me or ask me questions about medication are always wondering how long they should stay on their medication and when they can get off. So when I first had my psychosis, that was kind of the same mentality that I had as well. I was looking to get off the medication because it's not something that you really want in your life. It's not something that you want to be on. It's kind of like a crutch or wearing a cast all the time or feeling like you can't control your life. And so that's not something that I really wanted to have in my life. I'd rather just do it on my own and feel like I'm independent and I can do it by myself. So that's what I did. I went off the medication over the course of a year, after my first psychosis in 2012. And I was fine for a while. I did okay. But the thing is, the depression and stuff like that I struggled with before my psychosis came back over time. And I was struggling quite a bit. And I decided to smoke pot again. I know some of you guys have heard this story. And that's what led to my second psychosis. And so I went back on medication after my second psychosis, and I was kind of struggling with the idea of being on medication again, so I kind of went off of it. And I noticed that I was definitely struggling more when I was off the medication than when I was on it. And so, hold on, I gotta let Oliver out. So I noticed I started to kind of struggle more when I was off the medication, and I tended to do better when I was on the medication. And so not because my parents told me to be on medication or someone told me to stay on medication did I start to stay on my medication, but because I noticed myself that my life became more manageable while I was on the meds that I was given. And I think a lot of people want to get off the medication because they feel like they can manage it themselves, or they feel like it's like a burden or something they don't want in their lives. And I understand that medication can be expensive for some people, and I understand that medication can have some really bad side effects. And so those are things that you don't want in your life, and those can be really challenging for people. I'm fortunate that I don't have to take a ton of medication, so I don't have to experience a ton of side effects that are associated with these drugs. But there are some drugs that do not work with me. And so if there's some side effects that don't work for you, definitely check in with your doctor, because maybe that medication isn't the right thing for you. Maybe you need a different combination of medications or something that might be a little bit better for who you are as a person and your sort of biochemistry. But I found something that works for me. I take 0.5 milligrams of risperidone per day. I take it in the morning. And like I said, it's a lot better overall for me during the day and in my life. And I've just noticed that basically for my whole life, I've had to manage symptoms and manage myself and do a lot of self-awareness practice and just constantly be aware of my emotional state, because it's such a dominant part of my life. Having bipolar, it's not easy. You always have to sort of juggle what's inside while also like figuring out how to manage the stuff on the outside. And I found that when I'm on the medication, I don't have to juggle quite as much inside of myself. I can focus more on the outside while still like having a healthy balance. So I still have to work on myself and be present for myself and create space for myself. But it's not so much that I can't do the stuff on the outside. So a lot of people struggling with bipolar disorder or psychosis are dealing with some symptoms and some problems and concerns emotionally that are so difficult and so traumatizing to some degree, that it's hard to even be functional and live like a semi enjoyable life. So having a little bit of mitigation on that, even if you have a little bit of side effects, might be a little bit better overall than if you just had those symptoms and weren't able to have some consistency and groundedness in your life. So my recommendation would be to not focus on trying to get off your medication per se, but focusing more on the aspect of, is this helping me, and is this getting me to a place where I'm able to live my life a little bit better and be a little bit more present. Because that should, for me, that's my focus. That's why I take the medication, because it helps me. And I'm not in a hurry to get off of my medication. I'm planning on staying on my medication as long as I need to. Maybe down the line, I'll choose to go off of it. But at this point, I don't have a big enough foundation to start taking off my medication and feeling like I can really thrive. I'm still building my foundation. So make sure you're looking at what reasons you're trying to get off your medications for, because I've noticed a lot of people that want to get off their medications are people who feel like they will be better off or feel like they can be happier without medication. And I don't think that's always necessarily true. That's what I thought, that I could just meditate and get over my situation if I really focused and I really tried hard. But the truth is that these kinds of states are bigger than us for the most part. And if we don't have a big enough foundation beneath us, we can't really handle these experiences. And so really having those medications is a nice little guiding post to help us walk through life and not feel as burdened. And so my recommendation would be to stay on it. If you do try to get off it later in life, when you feel like you're really solid and you have a good foundation, make sure it's in a space that you feel like you have some wiggle room. So if you start not to feel so well, it's not going to destroy your whole life. Make sure you don't have as many stressors in your life, and make sure you do it with a doctor, because some of these medications have major side effects if you just go off of them. So make sure you're being really diligent and practical when it comes to getting off of those medications. So, and I do want to say one more thing. I know there's lots of success stories of people out there who were struggling with something, and then all of a sudden they get better and they don't need the medication anymore. I think a lot of times people tend to idolize those situations and idolize those people, which is great. They're great examples and they've done some amazing things with their life. But at the same time, you have to be honest with yourself and recognize where you are in your life. You may not be at that point, and you may not have the skill set or the foundation to be able to get off the medication like they did and to do the things that they did. That's not to say you can't work at it and develop it, but honestly, if you're not happy while on your medication, and I'm not saying this like regarding the side effects and stuff like that, but if you're not happy and you're having a hard time managing your symptoms while on medication, it's probably going to be even harder while you're off it. And it's going to be very destructive in your life and to the people around you. So just be really careful with that, because there is a tendency to idolize people and get a false sense of self and feel like you can, overcome anything because you're super strong. I'm not saying you're not super strong, but sometimes we need some help and we need some support. And these medications can be very helpful ally for some things that are sometimes overwhelming for us. So with that being said, make sure to take time for yourself, guys. Make sure to always make sure that you got support, and make sure that you take care of yourself, and constantly develop. Just because you're on medications doesn't mean that everything's fine. You still need to practice self-awareness and practice mindfulness and take care of yourself and stuff like that. These kinds of things don't just go away with taking a pill. So it's always going to be working at yourself and trying to be a little bit better, get better coping skills, and find out where you are and work on it. So as always, guys, make sure to seek your truth, take time for yourself. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Let me know any comments below if you want to mention anything or have any questions for me. And I will see you in my future videos. Don't forget to subscribe. All right, guys. See you later.